Uh,
Oh, no, we're live now.
we are live. All right.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So we're back to explore the body all moments or the greatest body all moments so far. And today, my guest is Anthony Mattis, who is an amazing body magician. And I would actually love to start by asking you, what does pop when I ask you what's your greatest body awe moment
All
so
right.
far?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I would say like the first big one it was about 6 months, believe it or not, and it's a coincidence because we just finished the Talk to the Entities advanced class, but it was about 6 months after being a Talk to the Entities facilitator. I just had facilitated a class in Russia, and it was wonderful. People's lives changed. People were happy, made money. It's like everything in my life was like actualizing the way I've always desired. And for whatever reason, up until that point, I was not quite able to create that for myself. And so everything's showing up in all the most magical ways I've ever desired. And so what started happening is I started to feel this sort of like dark, energetic cloud of like depression coming over me. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is a very familiar energy. I'm like, what's going on? And I remember looking at Julia, my wife, and I'm like, something's going on where I'm starting to feel like I'm being pulled down, like this is black cloud hanging over me. And I'm like, I know I'm supposed to be happy. Everything in my life is fantastic. My kids are happy, 3 children. And it's like, but it's like I feel like I'm looking through this dirty glass window. It's like I'm not perceiving this happiness viscerally. I don't feel it in my body. And so I'm like, okay. So I started asking that first question that we learn when we come to Access: who does this belong to?
Yeah.
I keep returning it to sender with consciousness attached. I keep returning it to like mom or dad or whatever. I'm like, and it wasn't working. And I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Returning it back to family with consciousness attached isn't working anymore. And I'm like, and then she's like, well, what if you go deeper into it? And I'm like, well, I feel like I'm going to die if I do. She's like, so what? And I'm like, okay. And I did. And I got even more sad. But then actually what started happening was, and not to be like morose, like with discussion, but it's like people who had committed suicide started coming into my awareness. I had a patient, as a chiropractor, I had a patient who had committed suicide. My mother-in-law had committed suicide. And then my first wife committed suicide 8 months after her mother committed suicide. So I'm like, this is weird. So I'm like, I think I need to really use the entity tools here, like, but really be present with it. And so I had a conversation with them. I tried using the clearings, it didn't work. And I got that I needed to talk to them. At that same time, my daughter was studying about the Aboriginals who lived in history class in this area. So I started having a conversation with them. And we had just moved into our house, brand new home, built from scratch. And I started realizing or recognizing um, that these Aboriginals had a job to take care of the land. So I'm like, you know what? I will take care of the job. And I will honor this land. I will plant the trees myself. I'm not going to hire anybody to do it. The first year, I'm going to plant the trees. I'm going to plant the flowers. And so this was about 40 minutes of sort of acknowledging the people who committed suicide, the Aboriginal spirits, and the nature spirits that kind of went back into the earth because a lot of trees got knocked down. And it kind of felt really weird, to be honest with you, because I didn't really think I had a capacity in this area, and I felt like I was going a little psycho. And this went on for about 40 minutes, and I fell asleep doing this, and I woke up, and it felt like someone took out my old brain and put a brand new brain, and I woke up with all this joy and happiness. And in that moment, I realized that that intense melancholia that I had was that I've had my whole entire life was entity awareness. That was
Mm.
my body's way of saying, you have spirits around you that are desiring to communicate with you. And I was the last person who would ever think would become a facilitator of Talk to the Entities. Like, because I didn't believe, I was like, this stuff is BS, or it's just for those select few people who like see ghosts and talk to ghosts. But and it happened again when I went to facilitate a body class in New Jersey where I grew up. That same feeling came, but I knew instantly that it wasn't mine, and I knew how to handle it. And I was actually using the tools of talk to the entities, and it changed within 5 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, could it be that all those years while I was a teenager in my early 20s could have been that all these spirits were around me and I just didn't acknowledge them? And had I acknowledged them and had a conversation, it would have made my depression way easier. I would have been much happier as a kid.
And also, it's so beautiful because you were talking about how everything was like going your way, and you were joyful, but you couldn't really perceive the joy. But joy is really an element of consciousness. So
Mm-hmm.
that joy also probably expanded your awareness, which made you even more aware of what was actually going on. But
Totally.
what a gift! Because now you have this awareness, not just for you, but for everyone you work with in all
Yeah.
your, like your body, were part of facilitating consciousness for
Yeah.
you.
Well, and as a 3-day body facilitator, as you are as well, it's like we learn that like our body is a sensate sensorial organism, right? It's given us information of the world around us, but not just the physical world, the non-physical world too. And so, like you're right, when I actually got present with it and had this awareness or this awe moment, I'm like, oh my God, it opened up universes within universes within universes, and it sort of catapulted me into being even a better facilitator to help people.
It's funny because it reminds me so much of that first session I had with Dane here, which, if you're on this group, you probably know who he is.
Yeah.
But since we're in an access group, but the very first session I had with him, I had a very similar point of view, like you had about entities. I was like, energy, all that stuff, that's for someone else. Like, I really was more of a brain on legs walking around in the world. And that first session I had with him started by him facilitating me actually a little bit about entities too. Now, when I
Mhm.
think back of it, like sitting, and then he worked on me on a table, and the extent of the energetic, like it shifted my whole world because I became aware of that I am an energetic being. I had
Yeah.
no idea I was an energetic being until that session and that moment. And it has changed everything in my life. It still is. Like, realizing you're an energetic being is like step one, or
Yeah.
it's like step 1/4.
Yeah.
And then there's this like whole world that's opening up, which is part of the world that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sensor organism, the subtle bodies, the bot, like all of that, but all of it is energy, and we can be aware of it with consciousness, with our bodies. And that is such a big part of my life
Right.
and of my facilitation now as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great because what happens is it becomes a knowing in your world that no one can ever take away from you. So even like people who may judge you, be like, oh, you're weird, excuse me, or you're just imagining it. It's like, fine, you could have that point of view, but it's like, it's part of me now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a part of me now. So you can judge me all you want. I know what I know. And that's the gift right there. I
And
don't need to be validated by anybody else.
exactly. And it's even like you cannot not know it.
Yeah.
Once you know it, you cannot, like, even if you're like, oh, it would be so much easier to just be normal. I don't think I've had that particular, point of view in many years. But in the beginning, it's like, maybe I'm not willing to be this, strange and weird, beautiful, like all of that.
Yeah.
But you can't not know it once you know it. It's like one of those things, like once you know it, it's part of you. It's
Yeah.
who you be. And
Hmm.
that such like you say, it creates a trust also.
Yes.
Is that I do that I know.
Yeah.
I know I'm an energetic being. I know I'm aware of things through my subtle bodies, through my awareness that maybe I won't even be able to cognitively describe to anyone. I just
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and I remember my first SOP class with Dane. He actually called me up on stage. He did a session on me, and the whole time I'm crying, but I wasn't crying because of sadness. I wasn't even crying because the sadness in my body and universe was leaving. The awareness that I got on stage was what I had saw was sort of like this, like energetic vortex of me pulling sadness out of the people in the audience's bodies and who were ever on live TV.
Yeah.
And I had realized that I'm like, oh my God, I've been trying to make people happy my whole life. And what a burden that had been,
Mm.
especially like women. And it was interesting because like if I had decided that someone was attractive or I was attracted to someone, I like everything else, all my awareness and consciousness of that person would disappear. And I couldn't see the sadness, or I couldn't see what maybe being with that person would create in the future because I was almost blind. It was like my consciousness went outside the window because all I could see was the like what I've decided what was pretty. And
Right.
um and then I realized that weekend how much I was attracted to women who were sad.
Mm.
And it was really bizarre. So that like sort of got me on this like journey of like, wow, like getting me to acknowledge what a healer I am, and that I am sensitive to people who are sad, and I have this innate ability to try to make people happy, which doesn't always necessarily work, and it could be very exhausting. And so, and that's interesting because now I'm talking about like the spirit world, and I did the same thing. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how it like how it like arcs over to that. That's really fascinating.
And it also this part of awareness, like you now you're aware of that. You're aware that you somehow is you're vibrational compatible or have a frequency where you kind of tend to go
Right.
and possibly be able to facilitate people who are sad into joy. But now the difference is before in your life, you didn't really, you just kind of noticed it and it just kind of happened. With consciousness, with awareness, we actually get to make choices. We can
Right.
actually, now you can choose and you can
Yeah.
be aware of what's going on. And then that's a whole different ball game because
Totally.
now you are the one in charge of your life and you are the
Yeah.
one in charge of your choices. And that's part of what I find both with energies, with entities, all of that is like you're not, nothing has the power over you. You have the power with choice and change
Absolutely.
and possibilities.
Yeah. You're not at the effect of your awareness anymore.
Exactly. And I wanted to ask you because you work with energetic sessions too, ASB sessions, where you work with people energetically to actually invite them to more awareness and change their lives. Very short description, but what have you? What is it like? What do you become aware of when they become aware? What is it like to give people that experience of energetic
Yeah,
possibility?
it's a gift. It's a gift. I mean, that's the first word that pops, and not just for them, but for me,
Mm,
because when people choose, not everyone, but I would say most people who choose to do these types of sessions, there's there's a sense of vulnerability in their universe that energetically contributes to the session. And in being a holistic chiropractor for over 20 years, and before that, I was a personal trainer, always working with people's bodies. I would have to say, out of all the modalities I've ever studied and worked with, it's the only one where there's a gifting and receiving that's occurring simultaneously. So, whatever's changing for the person, it's changing for me. Whatever's going on in their world is going on in my world, and vice versa. And so there's this opportunity, or there's this dance, so to speak, an energetic dance, and we're
mm,
able to sort of like get to those places that have held them back, kept them from accessing more communion with their bodies and beings, kept them from accessing maybe them acknowledging the essence of who they are. And so most of the time when they get off the table, worst case scenario, they're either, they're very relaxed, or they have a greater sense of who they are and who they be and what they would like to create in the world. So this,
how do you perceive that the body comes into it? I so appreciate that it's a gifting and receiving. It's with you and them and maybe their body and them.
well, the
But
body has to be a part of it. It can't, it's, yeah, because a lot of people actually are separated from their body. So a lot of people's very ask in the session sometimes is for them to actually have more communion and a level of presence with their body. So when they're done, that occurs because sometimes we're out here observing our life here. It's like, oh, there's my body, but I'm not really running the show here. Something else is. And so, but yeah, so after a session, typically, and it usually just takes one session, if the person's willing to actually be vulnerable enough, all of a sudden it's like, whoop, the being and the body are back connected, and they're like, oh my God. It's like, I'm here. And it's like, awesome, cool. Now what do you get to create? What do you get to choose?
So when you talk about this with maybe like older colleagues that still mainly use the chiropractic, holistic chiropractic tools or whatever, what's their sense of it? Like what do they get? Like how do
Well,
they react?
I actually closed my practice down. I'm still a licensed chiropractor, but I don't even practice anymore because, and this is not, the chiropractic profession is a wonderful profession, and they do a lot of great things for people all over the world. For me personally, as a practitioner, being an access consciousness facilitator allows me the space for me to be all of me and do the things energetically with people and to facilitate things in people's universes that I couldn't do as a chiropractor. Because when people come into your shop, it's like if you're a butcher and people come in for broccoli and you're trying to give them a steak, you know what I mean? And so it just wasn't fun for me anymore. It's like with access consciousness and these tools, I feel like there are no limitations in how I can work with people.
Mm.
And because I could always do chiropractic if that's what's required. But so I don't even practice anymore. But in the beginning, when I first became a facilitator, I was so excited about access consciousness, the bars, which is one of the first thing we learned. And I just would talk to my patients about it. And the weirdest thing is people would just show up to my bars classes. I could never get anybody to come to a chiropractic health talk. I'd have like 3 people maximum. And when I first started doing my bars classes, I'd have 18, 19, 25. I would have a waiting list. I'm like, what's going on? I never promoted it any differently than any of my other chiropractic stuff. So I looked at it as a sign back then that the universe was like, there's something in this for you with access consciousness. And it was like every time I would go to the class, it would always be something that would happen energetically that was undeniable. It would sink into my universe that I was like, whoa, no other modality, no other guru, no other religion that I had followed or philosophy or metaphysics stuff has changed things in my universe energetically like these tools. And it wasn't always comfortable,
Yeah.
but I was like, because I'm this uncomfortable, I know it's creating that change and getting to those places that I could never get to change so I could have the life I desire.
It actually still is not always comfortable, I must say.
Yeah.
But I would say though that one of the things that when you're talking that so it's like awe begets awe. So once you start to be willing to have awe, be awe, invite awe, like that wonder, the sense of wonder and magic into your life, more of it comes. So what you were saying with the classes, I find that a lot. Like every time I facilitate, every time I have a conversation, every time, if I'm willing to not use like any automatic setting of
Yeah.
anything and just like be willing to that awe and wonder to be the guiding principle of
Mhm.
where I go, then so much more show up as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's so funny because it's like we're not trained to like live in and as the question, right? And be the question. And if we can do that, things continue to exponentialize. And it's easy to fall into that trap of, okay, you have this space, the space gets created, you have this like awe, right? But then a lot of times what we try to do is we try to define it, we try
Yeah.
to fit it in a category or a box, we try to create all these predetermined realities. Okay, now that I have this space, what's going to show up? And no, it's like we have to go back and stay in the question. And I'll never forget, after my first facilitators was when I actually realized the magic of access consciousness. And I feel like magic is too much of a hokey word, but I
Yeah.
realized like this, what was available energetically, and that access consciousness is much more than just getting you through your pain and suffering. It's much more than like a life coaching program type thing. And I remember saying, I need to be around these guys as much as I possibly can. I was a single father at the time. And 2 months later, I went to a class that I didn't really have to go to so soon. And I remember asking Gary, and I'm like, I want more. I want more. What question can I ask? And he's like, what energy, space, and consciousness and choice can me and my body be to exponentialize my life 5 times greater with total ease? And I started asking that question, and it was like day 2. It was level 2 and 3 at the time, which is now the choice of possibilities. That was day 2, and day 4, is when Gary asked me to work on his body and the whole ASB universe thing showed up. And I'm like, oh my God. So I had this awareness, right? It was like that whisper. I went to a class that I didn't really have to go to. I didn't really have the money, but I'm like, I don't care. And this whole ASB universe thing showed up that was, that has changed my life and put me in a new direction as well.
So, and there's so many things like that. That's ever since I
Yeah.
started Access, that choice that doesn't come from logic or figuring it out, or it's a choice that really comes from just knowing and going there. And Dane said recently, he said that understanding, the need to understand, is what that gets in the way for magic and miracles. And it really is. Like if you try to understand the choice to go to that class or to choose to dive into a new program or just hang out with people that have like that lightness that you perceive. If you're trying to understand it and define it, then you actually limit it. And the more access I do, in the beginning, it's nearly like it sounds so simple. So in one way, everybody gets it, but it has even that not needing to understand, like being willing to actually choose based on energy and lightness and not based on understanding and the cognitive, is so huge, because that really is where the awe and the wonder get started.
Yeah. Bingo. Totally is exactly right. And it is like an, oh, like, whoa, it's like, whoa. And it doesn't stop. And it's beautiful. There is no ceiling with what we're doing. There's no like level.
No, and that is so true. And we're going to end pretty soon. It's something that there is no ceiling and there's always more. It's the first thing I've done in my life that I haven't gotten bored. It's the first thing I've done where I keep discovering new things that makes me go, wow, like that awe, the sense of awe. And where a lot of things that I was wishing for as a kid, like the things that I was even like, I was a nerdy kid who spent my days in books a lot. And I remember laying at night, kind of like praying to someone, who knows, it wasn't really God, but something that I really wanted a world like the Story of the Ring or the Tolkien books to exist, because I thought our world was so darn boring. So compared to that, there has to be something different. And that really like a demand, a wish and ask for something has to be something more than what I was presented with in this reality. And Access continuously present this to me. Like even when I, okay, I kind of got this part, and then something, a whole new world explodes, where a new space that I can now go in and explore, and often several at the same time.
Yep.
So it's like, that awe really is exponentializes when you acknowledge it and you ask for it.
Yeah. And it's a gift. And staying in the question, it keeps going. It's like infinite. And watching the guys be in that space too, Gary Douglas, the creator of Access Consciousness, and Dr. Dane here, the co-creator, they do the same. It's like a lot of people have the point of view that they've arrived because they are where they are. And it's a gift because I know you spend a lot of time with them personally, and you get to see them using the tools for themselves.
All the time. Yeah.
You never see that with people who are like the leaders of a particular healing modality. It's like they've already arrived. No, these guys are using the tools just like you and I are, and the people who first starting out, and that's really fun to watch. And you get to see their universe continue. Then they have in those awe moments, and that's where the new processes come, and that's why it never stops and it keeps exponentializing.
Yeah, and it's one of the greatest joys is like we're all on this journey. It looks different for all of us, but we're on this journey toward consciousness or whatever, or in consciousness. It's like a journey in consciousness more. It's not toward, because there is no destination. Right. Saying. And one of the things that I really enjoy is that not only do I get to, see Gary and Dane use the tools, Simone and Brendan, but also all like all the 3-day body class facilitators and all the awarenesses that we continuously have in our classes, all the CFs around the world, all the BFs like around the world. It is truly this, it's not from only Gary and Dane, like you're saying, it comes from all of us. Like,
Yeah,
this is a co-creation, a global co-creation and
totally.
exploration of consciousness.
Yeah,
Whew. Okay,
yeah,
that makes me very happy.
yeah. Awesome.
And I think actually, oh, we got a really, oh, we got something. Oh, we have some comments in the Facebook thread, but they're mainly about just getting different awarenesses. Thank you guys so much for being on listening. And if you listen after, thank you so much for finding us and listening after to this. And yeah, I would say go forth and allow your body and your energies and to contribute to you more than you may have ever asked for before.
Yeah.
What do you want to ask them, Anthony, before we end?
Well, it's just like, one of the biggest gifts that Access has been is like, wow, it's like your past doesn't have to dictate your
Oh,
future. I say this all the time. And so no matter what you've been through, no matter what abuses or traumas and dramas you've had, that doesn't have to be your reality 5 years from now, 10 years from now. These tools have a magical way of undoing the past. Maybe not the memories of it, but whatever the past created energetically that would influence your future, it undoes it. Because I don't even like when I think about my past, I'm like, wow, that happened to me. Whoa,
yeah,
that's a story, but it's like I don't have that energetic sort of pain in my universe anymore. It's I have a different life now, and I owe it all to the tools of access consciousness. So your past doesn't have to dictate your future, and you can create the life that you desire with these tools.
that's brilliant. That's a beautiful place to end. Thank you so much, Anthony, for having
Thank
this
you.
conversation with
Thank
me.
you for the invitation.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.